Hello, and welcome to the next episode of Artistic Workout. Today we will deal with the subject of my first memory, or perhaps your first memory. We will look at how the students of the Vistula University graphic faculty come to terms with it. And there is also a question to be asked. Is that first memory that you have something vivid, like a 4K video which you are currently looking at? Or a snapshot maybe, like a photo, crystal clear? Or is it something completely different? Something vague, unfocused in parts? Or is it perhaps something that has been recycled through reoccurring dreams, after which you don't know which one is the memory and which one is the memory of the memory reinterpreted through a dream? Can the medium of painting depict all these feelings, sensations, emotions in such a way that is, quote, more realistic than photography? Not in an optical sense, but can it be closer to the memory, something that you have in your mind, and one would say also your heart, your emotions? Perhaps it is important to paint important things, things that are important to you, images that haunt you. How do we get closer to the feeling instead of just being optically, so to speak, precise? Take a brief look at the works of Belgian painter Luc Tuymans, who paints on very large, unstretched pieces of canvases and then just cuts away something that is important to him, that he can stretch and treat as a separate painterly piece. Gerhard Richter comes to mind. His pieces from 1960s, when he used projection. He projected black and white photos. Sometimes they were blurred or moved onto canvas and then painted them. Usually, I guess, if not always perhaps, in black and white. But you can dive deeper. Impressionists have that dreamy quality. Baroque painting, why not? When a large area of a canvas is hiding in the dark. And perhaps what's so appealing to us in textures, certain softness and fog in painting, is that it reminds us of our own memories, the way we remember and store things. First through our eyes, which have a sharp vision only in the middle. And my friend Daniel, who's a self-taught yet award-winning film editor, says that the vision in the middle of the eye for a person who has wonderful vision is, let's say, 5.6 or 5.2 K. But that's just the center, the rest is blurred. But we also remember the blurry vision, and we remember them in our dreams. There are also many artifacts, like after images. It was the poet Goethe who discovered that if you stare for a while, for a few seconds, at a colorful shape and then you move your eye to a white surface, you see an afterimage which is in a complementary color to what you have just seen. And painters sometimes play with afterimages. If you look at the sun, which I don't recommend because it's unhealthy, and you close your eyes, then you have a purple afterimage. Well, food for thought and for painting. And what is your first memory? Write in the comments.
Hi guys, today we have an interesting... again. Hi guys. Today we have an interesting assignment in Vistula, so it's called My First Memory.
Yeah, and the assignment is basically about drawing the first thing you remember from your life or something in that area. So you would draw first thing.
Okay.
Oh, you would paint. I'm sorry. You would paint as you are in your mother's arms, or maybe as you're riding a pony, or maybe as you're playing on a playground.
Тишина, пожалуйста.
Again? Я уже забыла, что рассказывать про картину. In this picture, it's mini-me. It was on my birthday. I think on 5 birthday, but I'm not sure. That cake was very sweet. It was a lot of sugar here, so I like it very much. My main idea was in this work, it's to show children memories, so I decided to make the background very colorful.
Was it easy to imagine something like that, or it was a hard work for you?
It was hard work to work on the whole pictures, but I like that I remember very good the cake and how it tastes. So in this part it was easy, but work on whole pictures was hard.
Is it holding up? Good?
Yes.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope the quality of the sound is good.
Yes, it's working.
This is my childhood home, living room specifically. At the time it was like late in the evening, and I was like 6 or 7 at the time. Here you can see a sofa, like a part of it, and a head peeking. This is my granny. She was sleeping with my granddad, but he's out of the frame, unfortunately. And this is me. I just walked into the living room, and the TV was still on despite my grandparents were asleep. So I like do some jumping jacks in front of it because I was feeling like it, and I was a child. So yes, this is. I used gouache and pastels. It was a really fun combo. I discovered it recently. And I think I did great. It looks interesting. Yeah, I decided to exclude any color from my figure to like connect it with main details like the TV which is on and me, who is the main character of my own memory, of course. And I also like the lack of color is supposed to represent because at that age, like your childhood, you don't really have self-consciousness, but you have self-awareness. And I did not remember how I looked like at the time, but I was still there, and I remembered that I was there, so this is a spot for me.
I look like homeless.
Well, I gotta state, it happened in my dream, not in real life. Thankfully, I didn't see any hangman in real life, especially when I was probably 6 years old. I really can't remember the moment when I had this dream. But I'm pretty sure it was one of the first ones I had while being a child. To be honest, I have no idea why it just came out to my head, especially when I was traumatized by anything. So the main story about this dream was about how I was wandering in the graveyard and saw a hangman. I didn't really pay much attention to it and headed out somewhere else, but eventually got back and saw that this man was nowhere to be found. So because of that, I want to portray how he's aware of how we as a viewer are looking at him, and he's like aware of that, and he's not really appreciative about it.
Why did you choose the limited palette for your work?
I think it's because I want to portray a specific scene, and to get this specific atmosphere I had to use limited amount of colors to do so. I think 3-4 colors, which black and white included, should be enough to portray how much just 2 colors can change the mood. Because if I, for example, used orange, red or yellow, it would give absolute different vibe from the same painting. So I had to find it necessary to use specific. I don't really know what else to add, since it's not really that hard to compose, because I want to portray 2 different parts of the painting, the one being lighter and second being darker. So it could be seen his face being so contrast in the second part.
And this is your first dream, right?
Yeah, that's the first dream I remember about. There was few other disturbing ones, but I thought that would be the most interesting to portray.
Девайс темнотой. This painting portrays my experience when I was 2 years old at my grandfather's house. Their house was very old. As you can see, the table is dirty and just broken down. I tried to portray that in this drawing. As a result, the jam seemed very colorful and distinguished to me, as a 2-year-old at least, and I tried to reach out towards it. This is what this drawing portrays, essentially. And don't tell this to anyone, this is a secret, but eventually I reached out to it and it fell on my face.
Why is your painting is not so good looking?
Wait. Can you say that again? I didn't hear you.
Why the painting is so not good looking?
I don't know, man. That's a hard question to answer. I think that's a question I should be asking you instead. Like, why do you think it's not good looking?
So the only thing that you did is you draw on a table and pen, or how it's called, the
Brush.
The bowl?
The bowl. It's the bowl.
Yeah.
A bowl. So yeah, I can't even say it's the bowl. There you see how bad it is.
It doesn't look like a bowl?
So basically, what you made is a bowl and a table, and then you made the shape of an eye around it.
Yes.
That's the painting.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, that's, my friend, is called minimalism. And I feel like the composition itself, you can criticize the way I paint, because I am not an experienced painter, that's for sure. I still have trouble mixing colors, I still have trouble making like good colors that can be good, like that make your eyes feel attracted to them. But one thing I am ready to argue is that my composition is great. There is clear focus in this composition, that being, first of all, there's the frame itself that attaches the viewer's eyes towards the center. Then there's the table, which is a different color, yellowish, and has leading lines towards the main object, which is bowl. And then there's the bowl itself, which is a very red and saturated color. You can criticize anything you want, but I think the last thing you should be is the composition itself.
I think he will be a politician, an ambassador. He's excellent. Things that are perhaps important in minimalist painting. Number 1, composition. Have the sides been divided into 3 equal parts, and then strong points established on the junction of the lines going through the painting? And if so, are the most important things located in one of these or all of these strong points? Should the subject be located in the center, like my head is now? No, it's not anymore. In the center, or slightly above the center, or to the sides of the center? Which composition is better? Number 2, drawing. With a few layers of paint, you have to be very precise with the execution. Your lines should be clean. Your proportions should not be off. Number 3, brush strokes. There is a film showing the painting process of the great Henri Matisse. Each brush stroke is carefully rehearsed before it even touches the canvas. And then paint it over, because of the conceptual process, layer upon layer of paint in this case. So maybe I'm contradicting myself a little bit. Perhaps not, because there can be minimalism, meaning very few brush strokes, or there can be minimalism when one keeps erasing things, taking things out until the point where the bare minimum is there. And where the bare minimum is, it is also somewhat philosophical question, or it depends on the perception of the audience. Okay, other things. Anatomy. If you paint the eye, know what the shape of the eye should be. And don't ignore when the teacher tells you, correct it. An eye is not perfectly symmetrical.
I just gained consciousness, like, you know, when the kids, they just exist, and then they suddenly gain consciousness and realize that they're here, they exist, and they start remembering things. And my first memory was me standing in front of the mirror. My mom was brushing my hair, obviously. A hair tie, some hair clips, some curls, obviously, messy hair, me holding my favorite toy, and, well, the warm light, because most of the interior in our hallway is warm, so yeah. And I did this drawing with the painting with watercolors, because at some point, not only do I like them, but also watercolors, they give this some kind of dreamy effect for the first memory, which is kind of nice, obviously, so that it could amplify the dreaminess, you could say, the slight distortion of that, because no one can remember their first memories clearly. I mostly used wet on wet technique most of the time, and I also intended to use some salt, but as you can see, I didn't really use any because I spent a lot of time on this painting, and in the end, I didn't really want to make some things worse because, for example, I wanted to make some shadows a bit darker, but I liked this version so much that I decided not to really mess up things, because sometimes when I reach some kind of perfection, well, not really perfection, but the point where I enjoy this painting, if I decide to add more details, I may mess up something, which will obviously ruin the painting, and then I get sad. So I decided for myself that I stopped.
So the task is first memory, and this is my actual first memory. I remember that I've been remembering it all over and over again throughout my life, and it's my signature first memory, you could call it that. This is my sister, and we're in the car. We're returning after her birth from the hospital. I wanted to capture this feeling of a memory when it's really blurred and abstract. And you can definitely see it here. The shot is wide and there's a lot of different light effects. And unfortunately, this is not totally the way I remember it, and each time I tried to capture it, it felt like it was drifting away. But I try to make it a bit obscure and abstract and really glowing, because that's how I was remembering it.
What about the top one?
The top one, we can see it in the frame. This one, I started to paint it this summer, and you can see it by the vegetation. My main idea was to capture my mood at the moment. It was pretty sad. You could say it was even depressed. And I wanted to show it through a very bright and vivid landscape and really gray colors of the figure.
Take two, rolling. Tell us something about your painting.
So our topic was our childhood memory.
Okay,
and,
stop, please. You don't have to say that our topic was, because it was already. So start with the second sentence, please.
Just that my idea is... Okay,
yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay, start.
Okay. So my idea is my grandmother, because she made for me pirogi, or vareniki in Russian, when I was a kid, and it's not my first memory, but it's a really important part in my life, because I really loved my grandmother and I spent a lot of time with her all my childhood. Yeah, and I used acrylic colors, and to be honest, I didn't have a lot of problems with painting, but maybe find light on the hand was difficult sometimes. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, very good. Memories of others evoke my own memories sometimes. I'm not much of a cook, but I know how to make homemade pasta and pierogi. Why? Because my grandma used to make homemade pasta. I was fascinated with the process as a child, and finally, when I was a bit older but still a child in elementary school, my grandma reluctantly agreed for me to try to make the dough by the pasta by myself. Oh my God. What makes a good painter or a great one? Skills in drawing and painting, development of personal style, which comes with work, thinking process, and what is very important, inspiration by others, open-mindedness. Why do I stress it so much? Because look at how great artists come in clusters. Florence, Paris, New York, maybe. Do you know what I mean? An artist by the name of X is great because he has a colleague by the name of Y and a colleague by the name of Z. They all compete, inspire each other, learn from each other. And then there are the Medicis, who found it all. Who give money, who give money for it to be possible. They buy them paints, they buy them bread, and other things needed for survival and thriving of the artists. By the way, subscribe! I'm not gonna get any money from it, but I will have some advertising. Okay, another important thing, if artists work, if they paint, or whatever is that they're doing, whatever medium, there is one more important thing, which I'm starting to realize. The time and effort devoted to finishing of each individual piece. The more you work on individual pieces, on average, statistically, the better you become, the more you evolve, the less you get stuck at a certain point. And what is most important, the better paintings you are going to make. Have I always known that? No, I was playing with the idea of pieces being somewhat sketchy sometimes, because I didn't want to lose the dynamics. The way to overcome it and be loose and be very good with your limited amount of strokes, brush strokes, is to constantly practice drawing, which I'm trying to do, making those 1,000 sketches a year. And perhaps I should be doing more. And why am I recording while walking? Because I need to have some sort of physical activity, yet I also want to record. So I'm doing these two things at once.
Subscribe the channel and like. It's important.
Or dislike.
No, I never dislike. I only like.
And put a comments,
And put a comments.
More than 8 words. More than 8 words. 8 words at the minimum.
Yes.
Okay.